Hello, hello. Welcome to day 30. It's our last day in the Business English Idiom Challenge, and we're going to end on a positive note by looking at positive workplace roles. So a positive note means a positive atmosphere, positive ending. We are, as always, talking about idioms, which are used informally in business settings, not used in written communication, but important to understand so that you can understand the conversations and spoken English that are going on around you in an English-speaking environment, and so that you can slowly over time start to integrate them into your own active vocabulary. Today we're looking at these idioms, which are all positive. So a team player, a workhorse, although that one has a bit of a negative connotation too, so we'll talk about that. A fountain of knowledge, a tough cookie, and a quick study. As always, we're going to start by looking at them in context all at once, which is not actually how a native speaker would use them. Remember that we want to use them sparingly, but I'm going to introduce them in context so you can get a feel for them at the beginning, and then we'll go over it again at the end. So this person is talking about the positive characteristics of everyone on the team. Reflecting on our top performers, a few individuals stand out. So a few individuals are really kind of above other people. They stand out. Sophie, for instance, is truly a team player. She's always ready to collaborate and bring out the best in everyone around her. Then there's Mark, who embodies the term workhorse. His dedication is unmatched, and he consistently goes above and beyond. There's a really good collocation. Above and beyond means to do more than you're actually asked to do, to be very conscientious. In our tech department, we have Alice, a real fountain of knowledge on everything that runs our systems. Her expertise is priceless. We've also got James, who's a tough cookie. He is a great project manager. He handles stress and adversity with remarkable resilience, never wavering under pressure. Never wavering means not struggling. To waver means to become hesitant and to struggle. So never wavering, not struggling at all under pressure. Lastly, there's Emma, who's a quick study. She picks up new skills and concepts faster than anyone I've ever seen. So she picks up, that means she starts to learn and understand new skills and concepts quickly because she's a quick study. Okay, if you're thinking, gosh, that was a bit overwhelming, don't worry because we will come back to it and we're going to go through them one by one. So a team player, if you think about sports teams, then it's pretty clear what that would mean to be a team player, but we can also use this in a professional context as well. John is such a great team player as he gives credit where it's due and always makes sure everyone's contributions are valued. There's a good phrase, to give credit where it's due. That means that you acknowledge the contribution other people have made. So it's a really important thing to do. And we often hear it used in the negative in terms of, that person doesn't give credit where it's due. It's someone that takes an idea and claims it as their own. So it's important to give credit where it's due and to say, look, it's this person that had that idea. I think it's a good idea, but I'm going to give credit where it's due and acknowledge that it wasn't my idea. Okay, so he's a team player, so he acknowledges other people and praises other people and gives credit where it's due. Okay, the second one, I used to be a lone wolf, but in my new position, I am enjoying becoming more of a team player. If you remember yesterday's, I think it was, review of idioms, we talked about lone wolf being someone who works on their own independently. So a team player is someone who works well as part of a team and values collaboration and wants to work with other people and is very easily able to do so. So someone is a people person, a collaborator, they are a cooperative colleague, a group-oriented person, and they have good interpersonal skills. That last one is a much more formal way of describing this. So if you were in an interview, you would say that I have very good interpersonal skills. And you talk about you being a people person. Interpersonal skills, more formal. People person, team player, it's okay because it's still positive, but it's more informal. So I think in an interview setting, you talk about interpersonal skills. Okay, how do you balance being a team player with asserting your own ideas and opinions? Because it's a balance, isn't it? Getting along with other people, but also making sure that your voice is heard. I would invite you to start with using the idiom team player in a sentence and put it into the comments, or speak out loud what your response would be to the prompt. Okay, workhorse. Let's look at this one. Jake is the workhorse of the department, always going above and beyond to ensure deadlines are met. The company's success is largely due to its dedicated workhorses who go the extra mile. Okay, so we've got two really good phrases there that are useful for talking about doing more than is expected. So to go above and beyond means to do more than is expected, or to go the extra mile also means the same thing. So in an interview, that would be two positive phrases that you could use to talk about yourself and say that you're very motivated, you are willing to go the extra mile when it's needed, and then talking about times when you went above and beyond to make sure that project goals were met or that things were successful. So two nice phrases there for talking about doing more than you need to or being more successful than was expected. Okay, a workhorse is a person or a machine who works very hard and is very reliable. It's also someone who will reliably do hard or boring work. So in that sense, it does have a bit of a negative connotation. So it's a tricky one because on the one hand, being a workhorse means that you are dedicated, hardworking, able to get things done, persistent. Those are all positive things, right? But it does have this negative connotation of someone who, if you look at that horse, someone who's strong and will push through difficult, hard, and boring things. So it has a connotation of someone who works like a machine or keeps going and suffers. It has a connotation of suffering. So I don't think that I would use it to describe myself. I wouldn't want to be a workhorse or a machine or someone that suffers through hard and difficult and boring work. So it's a fine line between it being positive and negative. Positive because that person is very dedicated, but negative because they're having to suffer a little bit. And they're working, in a very difficult way. So I think it's useful for describing machines more than describing people, actually. More respectful way of describing it would be to talk about someone being a diligent worker or a reliable employee or an industrious person. So if you were describing yourself in an interview, for example, you'd say that I am very diligent in my work, instead of saying I'm a workhorse, which has that fine line between being negative and positive and is very informal. You definitely can appropriately use workhorse to describe machines. So here's the prompt for you. Describe a machine that is the workhorse of your work environment. For example, for me, a machine that is a real workhorse where I work is the photocopier. When I've worked in education, I've noticed that all of the photocopiers are enormous, giant, huge machines, and they are all workhorses. Continually work throughout the day, and they don't stop, basically, and they're very productive. So the photocopiers in education are workhorses. Okay, a fountain of knowledge. What do you think it means to be a fountain of knowledge? Early in my career, I was lucky to find a mentor who proved to be a fountain of knowledge. So a mentor is someone who you go to ask questions and to get advice and to kind of look forward into your career and get support. So ideally, you'd want your mentor to be a fountain of knowledge on the field or the career or the area that you're working in. Thank goodness Steve is on call to help with tech issues. He's a real fountain of knowledge. So if you're a fountain of knowledge, then you are a person who's knowledgeable about a particular subject or many subjects. And this is something that we would use to describe someone else because it's really, really high praise. So if you were talking about yourself and you said, I'm a fountain of knowledge on this, that might come across as a bit arrogant, a bit too much perhaps. But it's very nice to describe someone else as a fountain of knowledge because it's a really high level of praise to give them. If you're describing yourself, you could say you were an expert, you're well informed. Those are both appropriate formal ways of saying it. More informal is to say that someone is a walking encyclopedia on something. So Steve is a walking encyclopedia on tech issues and how to resolve them. Okay, describe someone you admire who's a fountain of knowledge on a subject you value. Perhaps it's a mentor that you've worked with in the past, or a boss or a colleague. But what do you admire about them and the way that they show or use this aspect of themselves, the way that they show up as a fountain of knowledge? Okay, a tough cookie. We have a chocolate cookie in the picture. That's delicious. And this is American because in the UK we would say biscuit. We wouldn't say cookie. And actually for this idiom, we have a slightly different version, which I'll get to in a moment. But just focusing just on this one, this American idiom, despite all the challenges, Mary proved to be a tough cookie, handling everything with grace. The negotiations were difficult, but our lawyer is a tough cookie. He managed to get us a great deal. Okay, think about the fact that a cookie is usually quite soft and chewy and sweet, so you wouldn't expect it to be tough and hard. So it's unexpected. If you are a tough cookie, you are a person who is physically or emotionally strong and resilient to a surprising degree. So tough to a surprising degree. So tough cookie is an idiom, so it's very informal. A more formal way of saying it would be to say that that person is resilient, strong, or hardy. Hardy is like more about physical strength, perhaps, but resilient. You talk about resilience in the workplace. So they are a resilient person and they're able to handle stress well. A tough cookie. Okay, in the UK, we would use this one, a tough nut, which means the same thing, a person who's physically or emotionally strong and resilient. So you'd say, Jane is a tough nut. She didn't get stressed out by the short deadline that we had. Just so that you were aware, if you describe someone as a nut or a nutcase, that's a really, really rude, horrible way of saying that they have mental issues or they're behaving in a way that doesn't seem mentally stable. So be very careful with that. If you say someone is a nut or someone is a nutcase in the UK, that's really offensive. You're saying that they're not mentally stable. But a tough nut is not offensive. You're saying that they are very resilient, admirably strong. So there's a big difference there. Okay, when you talk about a problem in the UK, you could say that it is a tough nut to crack, which means it's a difficult problem. For example, this problem with the budget is a tough nut to crack. I think we will have to ask for help from the higher ups. Remember, the higher ups are like management, people above you in the corporate hierarchy. Okay, going back to the US idiom. Describe someone you know who is a tough cookie when under pressure. Okay, a quick study. Jenna is a quick study. She mastered the new software in just a few days. Our new recruits are expected to be quick studies. We need them to get through the product training in the first week. Okay, a quick study. If someone is a quick study, it means they are someone who's able to learn new things quickly and efficiently. They're able to consolidate new knowledge very quickly. So more formal would be to talk about someone being a fast learner. Say that that person is able to rapidly assimilate information. In our professional lives, whatever field we're working in, we need to continually do professional development. And so when you're talking about your own positive attributes, it's good to say that I am a quick study, dedicated to my professional development, and because I'm a quick study, I'm able to learn new things in my field easily. So describing yourself as a fast learner or an efficient learner. Do you consider yourself a quick study when it comes to professional development? Can you give an example? For me personally, I think the more that you gain experience in a field, you do over time necessarily become a quick study because you've got so much background knowledge of that area that it just helps you be able to learn quicker in that context. So I think over time you do become a quick study in your own profession, for sure. What do you think? Okay, that's all of them. Let's look at them in context again. We'll go through this and then a really short quiz at the end. Okay. Reflecting on top performers, a few individuals stand out. Sophie, for instance, is truly a team player. She's always ready to collaborate and bring out the best in everyone around her. Then there's Mark, who embodies the term workhorse. His dedication is unmatched and he consistently goes above and beyond. If someone embodies the term, that means the actions that they do are consistent with that title. So he embodies the term. He is very much like. Okay, the second paragraph. In our tech department, we have Alice, a real fountain of knowledge on everything that runs our systems. Her expertise is priceless. We've also got James, who's a tough cookie. He is a great project manager. He handles stress and adversity with remarkable resilience, never wavering under pressure. Lastly, there's Emma, who's a quick study. She picks up new skills and concepts faster than anyone we've ever seen. Okay, so hopefully it made more sense on the second read through. We're going to a very short quiz, and then we're going to talk about the course that goes along with all of these videos. Okay, so choose the best synonym for the idiom. So the first one, a team player. Does that mean someone who's a lone wolf, a people person, or a quick study? What would you say? Number one, A, B, or C? And then number two, a workhorse. Is that a lazy person, a diligent worker, or a know-it-all? What would you say? What would you choose for those? If you want to put your in the comment section, that's always appreciated, whether you're live or watching on the replay. And then we'll go through it together. Number one, a team player is a people person, and a workhorse is a diligent worker. Okay, there we go. We got through all of the 30 days. Thank you for joining me, whether you joined live for many of them or whether you were here on the replay. There will be an entire course created around this, and I would invite you to check that out using the link in the comments. And I am also going to consider putting together a live version of this. So even when that is available, that will also appear in the comments. Please ask any questions that you have. Feedback is always appreciated. And just thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me. It's been amazing. Okay, take care. Bye for now.